An Omni-Fi original, coming right up. When the galaxy tried to silence humanity, they forgot one thing. We never stopped talking.
Conclave Station was always a symphony of contradictions. The human section, tucked between the crystalline elegance of the Vex Carry and the organic curves of the Sylphari, was a cacophony of noise and motion. Captain Elena Vasquez stood at the observation deck, arms crossed, watching the controlled chaos. Her dark eyes scanned the station, taking in the familiar mix of species, the tension in the air like static electricity. 48 hours, she muttered to herself, the words barely audible. 48 hours to save our seat at the table. Her comms crackled to life, Commander Threx's deep voice cutting through the station's hum. Captain. The Assembly has submitted their preliminary findings. Not good. Elena didn't flinch. After 30 years on the frontier, she'd learned that not good was the baseline for everything that mattered. When is it ever good with them, Threx? She replied, her dry wit a familiar shield. Just give me the numbers. I'll make them dance. The conclave chamber was a testament to compromise, a seven-sided room where each species had shaped their own portion. For the Vex Carry, it was all angles and crystalline facets that refracted light into complex patterns. For the Sylphari, walls of living biotech that pulsed with gentle light. For the humans, straight lines and functional design that somehow still felt cramped. Ambassador Moore stood at the human podium, his diplomatic smile strained. Behind him, the Vex Carry traditionalists sat in rigid formation, their crystalline forms unnervingly still. The Weaver, however, was different. Their multifaceted eyes followed Morse with unnerving patience, their crystalline skin slowly shifting from deep blue to the amber of intense interest. The evidence is clear, a Sylphari representative droned, their voice like chimes in the wind. Human expansion in the frontier has destabilized established trade routes. Your actions create unpredictable variables. Morse opened his mouth, but Elena stepped forward, her voice cutting through the chamber's respectful silence. Unpredictable isn't the same as dangerous, she said, her tone direct, leaving no room for diplomatic interpretation. The Weaver's skin shifted to a deeper blue, a subtle acknowledgement they rarely gave. Elena found the Weaver in the station's arboretum, a place where each species had contributed to the garden. The Vex Carry section was geometrically precise, with plants arranged in complex fractal patterns. The human section was a riot of wildflowers, deliberately untamed. The Weaver stood at the boundary between them, their crystalline forms slowly shifting as they observed. Captain Vasquez, they began, their voice measured, each word deliberate. Your species reminds me of a particular thread in the tapestry of galactic history. Elena approached, hands clasped behind her back. The kind that unravels everything if pulled too hard, she asked, her usual sarcasm softened by the setting. The Weaver's form shifted to amber, a rare warmth. The kind that introduces new patterns, unexpected connections. They turned, their multifaceted eyes fixed on her. The traditionalists see chaos where I see potential. Elena studied the ancient being, her tactical mind cataloging the subtext. What do you see in us, Weaver? Because the others see trouble. The Weaver tilted their crystalline head, a gesture that would have taken minutes for a younger Vex Carry. I see the only species in this galaxy that would build a garden like this, they said, gesturing to the wild human section. Beautifully planned chaos. The data was damning. Human settlements in the frontier had disrupted 17 established trade routes, created 3 flashpoints with the Kren War clans, and accidentally initiated first contact with 3 previously undiscovered species, 2 of which had since declared war on each other. The Conclave's report was a masterpiece of bureaucratic precision, listing each incident with clinical detachment. Elena scrolled through the damning paragraphs, her jaw tight. So we're a problem, she muttered to herself. Across the table, Threx watched her, his Kren features unreadable. You humans make trouble, he said, his voice direct. But you also fix things. Elena looked up, surprised by his defense. The Kren don't usually side with chaos, she pointed out. Threx grunted, a sound that might have been agreement or disagreement. We side with results. And in the frontier, humans get results. The Weaver entered the briefing room without announcement, their presence filling the space. The traditionalists have the votes, they stated, their crystalline form a deep contemplative blue. Their motion revokes human voting rights. Elena didn't panic. She leaned forward, her tactical mind already plotting. Then we stop voting, she said, a dangerous light in her eyes. We start leading. The final conclave session was a masterpiece of political theater. Each species sat in their designated section, the atmosphere thick with unspoken tension. Ambassador Moore stood at the human podium, his diplomatic smile in place but his eyes worried. The motion to revoke human voting rights was seconded. The traditionalists began their arguments, each point a carefully constructed dagger aimed at humanity's place in the galaxy. Then Elena stepped forward, not to the human podium, but to the center of the chamber. You're right, she began, her voice cutting through the room. Human expansion has destabilized the frontier. A collective gasp went through the chamber. The Weaver's form shifted to amber, their interest now absolute. But destabilization isn't always destruction, Elena continued, her voice gaining strength. Sometimes it's the only way to break deadlocks. She activated a holographic display, showing the frontier's complex political landscape. For centuries, the Conclave maintained peace through careful balance. But that balance became a cage. Species stopped exploring. Stopped innovating. Stopped taking risks. Her eyes scanned the chamber. We brought the Orani out of their isolation. We brokered peace between the Kren war clans. We found 3 new species, and yes, 2 are at war, but we're working on that. Not because we're chaotic, but because we're willing to try. The Weaver's form shifted to a deeper blue, a color they'd never shown before. Captain Vasquez makes an interesting point, they said, their voice resonating through the chamber. Perhaps the greatest danger to galactic stability is not change, but stagnation. The vote wasn't unanimous, but it was decisive. Humanity kept its seat at the conclave. Not through diplomacy or compromise, but through Elena's brutal honesty and the Weaver's unexpected support. After the session, Elena found the Ancient being alone in the observation deck, looking out at the station. You could have told me you had my back, she said, her voice softer than usual. The Weaver turned, their form a mix of deep blue and warm amber. The tapestry of galactic history requires certain threads to be tested before they're recognized as essential. Elena studied them, understanding dawning. This was your test, wasn't it? Not for us, but for everyone. The Weaver tilted their crystalline head. You passed. But the real test is yet to come. They gestured to the stars beyond the station. The frontier is more dangerous than anyone knows. The remnant stirs. And when it moves, the galaxy will need exactly the kind of chaos you bring. Elena looked out at the stars, the weight of her role settling on her shoulders. Why me? She asked, though part of her already knew the answer. The Weaver's form shifted to a deep, thoughtful blue. Because when the galaxy is woven too tightly, it takes someone who doesn't know the rules to pull a thread and see what happens.